Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Should You Buy It? The video series where I just kind of go over random niche gear and I tell you if I think it's worth buying or not. You know, there's certain gear that doesn't really get talked about for whatever reason. I just kind of want to bring some information to the table to help you decide if you should get it or not. So on this episode, we have the crystal tools. So I personally always used them as soon as I was able to equip them. Like, as soon as they came out basically, I rushed them, got them, and I've just been swinging them at stuff ever since I could. But I didn't really think about how much it was actually costing or what the difference is between just using dragon equipment. So that's why I want to talk about them. That's why we're going to bring them up on today's episode. I know I've been saying it a lot lately, but I want to thank you guys yet again because the channel's just been booming and I don't quite understand why. I don't know what I did to make the algorithm like me, but god damn it, it makes me feel good and I love you guys. Alright though, alright, I'm done circle jerking myself. We'll talk about what you came here for. I'm not going to pat my back anymore. So let's dive into the tools we're actually talking about. So for those of you that don't know, crystal tools are basically the next step up after dragon equipment in terms of effectiveness. It's only very slight though, like if you look at the Crystal Axe wiki, it says it's only 4.5% faster than dragon. So it's ever so slight, but it does make a little bit of a difference, and I'll touch on that later. The main drawback to them is that you have to charge them with crystal shards, which is worth quite a bit of money actually when you look at it, so you're really wondering if these charges are worth the value. On top of that, the items themselves are just really expensive, so you're going to put a lot of money into this just for a very slight increase. You might already be pulling away, like, nope, I don't want to use this is too much. I'll tell you right now, it actually is worth the cost for certain areas. And before I forget, you do need to complete Song of the Elves to equip these items, and some of your stats need to be on the higher side to equip it and to just craft them in general. You can only buy part of the item off the Grand Exchange, but you have to actually craft it yourself or pay even more crystal shards for an NPC to do it for you. Let me go over what I actually came across when I was testing these items. One more thing before we actually start. If you have a Elven Signet or Celestial Signet, you actually have a 1 in 10 chance to not consume a charge when you're using crystal tools. So if you have crystal tools, you also want to buy the Signet, just further increasing how much money you're going to put into this whole thing. But since I'm already wearing it, we'll talk about the Crystal Axe. So to my knowledge, there isn't actually an area in the game besides just cutting a tree or cutting mushroom trees where a crystal axe might actually benefit you more than a regular axe. You'll see it's a little different with the other crystal tools, but for the axe, it just strictly is for cutting, it seems like. Of course, I still wanted to test it out. I want to get some numbers for the video. I did redwoods, 1 hour with the crystal axe, 1 hour with the dragon axe. The differences were fairly decent actually. It was over a 10k XP an hour difference. And those shards, even though they're roughly rounded down to 170 per charge, it only came out to be 32k for an extra 10k experience. So I mean, that's kind of like the exchange rate for redwoods. I think it's pretty worth it in this situation. I think it's a nice difference between XP. For a very slight cost, it's really not that expensive. Next up, we have the Crystal Harpoon. So as it turns out, there's only a few areas you can actually use the Crystal Harpoon and benefit from it. You can use it for tuna, for swordfish, for sharks, and then also at Temperos. Every other fishing area doesn't actually benefit from using this because you have to actually use the harpoon on the fish you're catching, so you can't take it to minnows and actually get a faster rate. And as most people know, doing minnows is actually faster than just directly fishing up sharks, so besides Temperos, the Crystal Harpoon doesn't really have a use anywhere. Although I still did an hour at regular sharks, and I'll show you the rates, I'll put them on screen. I suffered through it for you guys, no worries. At Temperos, this actually makes a huge difference though in XP. There's a few different methods for killing Temperos, and if you're using the method with the Crystal Harpoon, you get a lot more XP with it. It makes it a lot more worth it for XP. I actually have my own Temperos guide that I'll link down below if you want to check it out, see the differences. I'll just leave it there, I'll casually leave it below. But other than that, there isn't really too much to say on it. And finally, we have ourselves the Crystal Pickaxe. I'll say right off the bat that using this at Volcano and using it at Volcanic Mine are 100% worth it. It's a very good item for both of those activities. At Volcano, it really helps your DPS and your reward outputs at the end. And at Volcanic Mine, it helps a lot with XP an hour. A lot more so over just using a dragon pick. A common misconception is that this axe is actually better in Chambers of Xeric over a dragon pickaxe, and that is a complete myth. I said it, you know it now, you need to respect it. So the realization I came to with the crystal pickaxe, or just any of the crystal tools really, is that the slower the activity, the less money per hour it's going to cost. I mean, that's kind of obvious, right? I've used the crystal pickaxe at Falling Stars and Motherlode Mine, and hot damn does that drain charges. It completely drains your charges so quickly. It's insane. I mean, it's because of those two examples that I actually switched to a dragon pickaxe when I'm doing them, because I don't want to spend that much money on charges, you know? I did take the pickaxe to Amethyst though, I want to get some numbers for all the sections. Little grain of salt though, I actually don't have 92 mining, so I had to boost with the special attack and also using Dwarven Stout. So my numbers probably would be a little bit better if it was actually at 92. I mean, regardless, in the example numbers I got, there was still a difference in XP. It wasn't as crazy as with Redwoods, but it is still noticeable. And it only cost 13k in shard charges, almost 14k. But now, for the favorite part of my video, giving my opinion on whether or not you should buy it or not. For certain situations, these items are definitely worth buying. They're definitely worth shelling out for. Volcano, Volcanic Mine, Temperos, even Redwoods, I think it's definitely worth it there. I think the problem that I see is that a lot of the areas where it could be beneficial at is going to cost a lot of money. It's almost like a catch-22. At something like Sharks, you don't use a lot of charges, so it doesn't cost that much per hour to use it, but at the same time, you don't get that much extra XP an hour. Then you compare it to something like Motherlode Mine, where you actually use a lot of charges, so it costs a lot per hour. You might get a better XP difference, but it's going to cost you a lot more, so there's this weird middle ground that you have to try and find where you don't use too many charges, but you use enough to where it's a big XP difference, like with Redwoods. So if you use these items in the areas where it's really worth it at, you definitely get your money's worth from the shards you have to charge it with. Or maybe you're an Iron Man, so it really doesn't matter where you use crystal tools because you just use shards. There's no money equivalent for it. Anyway, that's my opinion, that's what I think. Specific areas really let these items shine, and if you have the money for it, you should definitely buy them. Of course, I might have missed some areas where these things could be useful at, so if you know of any, definitely let me know down below. I always want to make sure my videos are as accurate as possible, so I'll have an update comment pinned down below with any additional findings we come across. I'm actually going to let you guys in on a little secret right now. Tomorrow night, I'm actually going to be doing a Volcano Mass on stream. If you want to come around, you want to try out the crystal pickaxe, get some use out of it in an area where it's really good, stop on by, come say hi, say the video sent you here. Say, hey, try hard casual, I fucking hate your guts, but I'm here because I want to use the crystal pickaxe. I'm okay. I'm a big boy, I can handle it. But if you guys have any other questions about crystal tools, or RuneScape in general, feel free to ask me. I'm not sure what video I'm going to have next week, it might be another Should You Buy It, but you'll find out because I know you subscribed and I know you're going to tune in. Anyway, have a wonderful day, guys. I'll see you in the next one.